Hello, welcome back to Greatest Love Ministries. I just wanted to go over, well, first let me say, as some of you know, I do believe the end of 2025 is the end of the world, and I want to go with the timeline that is um, tentatively put together coming up here. Um, the title of this is going to be The Sixth Trumpet, Shelter in Place, and the Rapture, August 3rd, 2025. I believe, and let's start with Matthew 24, verse 15. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination and causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. And then basically it says, flee, immediately flee. Um, that phrase in there, let the reader understand, would be better translated, let the reader distinguish between the two. There's two things we're supposed to distinguish between. What are those two things we're supposed to distinguish between about the abomination and desolation? The abomination and desolation has really two appearances, if you will. It is the American embassy that Donald Trump set up in Jerusalem on May 14th, 2018. That's the first occurrence that we are to compare and contrast that to the second appearance, which is the 7 year anniversary or after the 7 year covenant. On the Hebrew calendar, May 14th, 2018 is Iyar 29th of Iyar, which is a Hebrew month. If you look at the 29th of Iyar in 2025, that's May 26th, Memorial Day. It's also the unofficial start of summer. So in Matthew 24, it does allude to this comes at summertime for whatever year, and the year is 20, um, 25. So this is what we're supposed to distinguish between, because if you look here in Matthew 24, it says, flee when you see this building being erected, this the tents of his palace being set up. Well, that was in 2018. There's been no need to flee at that time. So what we're supposed to distinguish is get the date from that time, ER 29, 2018, but then apply the fleeing part of this prophecy to ER 29, 2025, which is May 26, 2025. So I believe, and it says the king of the south in Daniel 11. Let's jump over to there real quick. At the time of the, why did it do that? Oh, anyway, at the time of the end, the king of the south will engage him in battle. It talks about the city and the sanctuary being destroyed. This engagement of battle, I think, will be a false flag blamed on Iran, with Donald Trump being in on it, and I believe it will be the destruction potentially of Washington D.C. with a nuclear weapon, which will create an electronic magnetic pulse. And as it says in Revelation, I believe at chapter 17, his kingdom goes dark. His kingdom goes dark. That would be because of the loss of electricity in America due to this attack. Um, a strict anniversary, well, a strict anniversary rendering of the 7 year covenant, which we see in Daniel 9. It's Daniel 9. Yeah, Daniel, let me look that up. I don't want to say, I don't want to misspeak there. Yeah, verse 27. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1:7. This starting point of this prophecy, you could look at it in a couple of different ways. The first way of looking at this is the anniversary, Independence Day of modern Jerusalem, which is May 14th, or in 2025, it's ER, the 29th, May 26th. That's the 7-year anniversary. So that's one date to look at that he brings an end to this covenant. Another way to look at that end is 2,520 days, which it also talks about, a set period of days. That's up August 3rd, 2025. Third way of looking at it is on the Hebrew calendar from Yom Teruah to Yom Teruah, 7 years apart. That would be Yom Teruah in 2018 was September 10th. So from September 10th, 2018 to September 22nd, 2025, Yom Teruah to Yom Teruah. So this one brief passage here, he will confirm a covenant with many for 1:7, has multiple fulfillments. So the earliest we could expect this war breaking out with Israel and Iran in the Middle East that talks about in in Revelation chapter 9 and Daniel chapter 11 would be May 26th. Another potential date, which would be 60 days out or 60 days before August 3rd or the 9th of Av, would be June 2nd, which is the 6th of Sivan. It's the festival of weeks. The Bible does seem to be using the festival of wheat as a marker for a year. So 77 festivals a week, and that 77th festival of weeks is up June 2nd. So I'm saying this attack here, it looks like it could be on Washington, D.C., but whatever the attack that's going to be to start this war in the Middle East, in which um, let's look at Daniel 11. At the time of the end, the king of the south will engage him in battle, and the king of the north will storm out against him with chariots and cavalry and a great fleet of ship. Then the son of Trump in America. He will invade many countries and sweep through them like a flood. He will also invade the beautiful land, which is Israel. Many countries will fall, but Edom, Moab, and the leaders of Ammon, which is modern day Jordan, which is an ally of the United States, will be delivered from his hand. He will extend his powers over many countries. Egypt will not escape, etc. So this war in the Middle East gets started anywhere in here from May 26th to June 2nd, it looks like. And then verse 44, but reports from the east and the north will alarm him, and he will set out in great rage to destroy and annihilate many. I think that's August 3rd or the 9th of Av, 2025. So here, let's see this, and that will start this 60-day period, or about 2 months, from roughly June 2nd or May 26th to August 3rd, 2025, in which I think there will be a nuclear exchange. And contrary to what I've been saying or thought before. I'm thinking now there is a rapture type of event, a protection event, right immediately around this thermonuclear exchange on August 3rd, 2025. Because in Luke 17, for example, it talks about on that very day Lot left Sodom, fire came down. The very day Noah entered the ark, the water came down and took them all away. So this 50-day period from August 3rd to September 22nd, when Jesus returns, um, will be protected by a rapture type protection, or the elect will be protected by a rapture type event. I think that's symbolized in Revelation chapter 11, the two dual witnesses. And that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about. So it's looking like there's going to be a need. If we have Washington, D.C. is destroyed here in early summer with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, we're going to lose electricity. We could lose transportation, could lose communications. You need to be prepared to shelter in place. That's what's talking about. The sixth trumpet, when this war starts, be ready to shelter in place. Plan on not having electricity, so have food, water, everything you need. Have your provisions like the wise virgins in Matthew 25, and be prepared to shelter in place. And it looks like you stay sheltered in place up to right around August 3rd, 2025, in which there will be a rapture kind of event, because it says that those days were not shortened. And here we're talking about they would be shortened by 50 days. No flesh would survive. Nobody's going to be able to survive thermonuclear war and its aftermath. Therefore, the rapture happens on that day when life is no longer livable on this planet for most. That's when the rapture will occur, and it looks like that's on August 3rd, 2025. It's also the 9th of Av, which is very significant because both temples were destroyed on the 9th of Av. It's a day of calamity for Israel, a day of mourning and calamity, the 9th of Av, and that's August 3rd, 2025. It's also the 2,520th day. It's also the 270th day since Donald Trump's election. 270 days is roughly 9 months, or the gestation period. So when birth pains, it's symbolism. When birth pains come upon the nation around August 3rd, labor pains will hit. That'll be the terrible time. It also looks like it'll be the time of the rapture, except I don't know if this will be a visible rapture or an invisible rapture kind of event. With the chaos of thermonuclear war, people might not be able to really know what's going on, be able to discern what's going on. It's important, though, for believers to know that they're not going to have to suffer through thermonuclear war or the aftermath of thermonuclear war. They're not going to be punished. In Thessalonians, 5:3? I think First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. God did not appoint us for wrath. We are not appointed for punishment. Wrath has to do with punishment. If you're a believer in grace, you're a Christian, you're saved, you will be protected during this 50-day period. And it does look like in the book of Joel and the book of Amos, thermonuclear war comes before Jesus returns on September 22nd. September 22nd looks like when Jesus returns, because that's both Yom Teruah and it's also the fall equinox. And the Bible talks about both markers as the day Jesus returns. And I did a video on that earlier about that very situation of Yom Teruah and the fall equinox. Thank you. Be well. Be blessed. Get ready to shelter in place. It could come as early as May 26th, Memorial Day, which is about 1 week away. Could be a little after that. It could be June 2nd, which is the 6th of Savan. Also, June 1st is known as the meteorological start of summer. So you have the unofficial start of summer on May 26th. You have the meteorological start of summer on June 1st. So right in there, it looks like this is what the Bible is warning about, telling us it's at the door. And when it's at the door, meaning it could knock, pound on your door any moment. So get ready. Thank you. Bye bye.